If you hear any footsteps, that is two younger brothers and a dog being quiet for me. It's actually quite entertaining, it's alright. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Let's Get Kraken podcast. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. We're back in the Cove. Thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. And if you are a new viewer, welcome. I'm also very glad that you decided to join me today on the YouTubes to hang out and talk about yarny and actually some sewing stuff as well. I'm Eden. You can find me on Instagram as Crafting Kraken Made. My entire intro just left my brain. That's alright. I'm the owner of Kraken Made, where I sell my hand-dyed yarn, hand-painted progress keepers, and other handmade treasures. You can also find me and my patterns on Lovecrafts and Ravelry. All of the links are down below in the description, as is all the other things I talk about. So, welcome back. It is such a gloomy day today, which is unfortunate because it has been gorgeous sunny for the past week. It got up to 22 degrees. I think it hit 25 at one point I saw in the car heater, thermometer, I guess. I'm in Canada, so I don't know what that is to you Americans. I'm sorry. I'm not good at converting such things. But anyway, yeah, it is a gloomy day, so we are hoping to use all this light in my ring light and the lights. We'll do our best. Yeah, we're back in the Cove today. I'd like to say that if you were a winner of last week's giveaway, go back and watch that video and see if it was you. I have not received any emails from the winners yet. Contact me at krakenmade@outlook.com so that I can work out getting your prizes to you. Alright, so today I have two finished objects, some works in progress. What else? Well, yeah, I got a finished sewing object, which I'm wearing today, a work in progress in another one of these, and some new colorways coming to the shop this week. I have actually been in my dye studio dyeing up some new spring and summer things for you to enjoy. I am just sipping on some homemade kombucha. If you haven't been following along, I have taken up making homemade kombucha because it's actually fascinating, the fermenting process of making a kombucha, and also very cheap compared to actually buying kombucha, which me and my mom drink a lot of. We really enjoy it. It's just in a sleeve my mom got me at a farmer's market, which I found to be very interesting. I'm sorry, the ice is changing. This is, if you can see in there, this is carrot pineapple flavor, which is kind of inspired by the muffins my mom would make. It's like a carrot cake muffin, but she'd throw crushed pineapple into it. It's really good. I'd highly recommend it. With this, it's cast on, did a little bit of ribbing. It's cast on flat, and then they just knit downwards. Kind of have a bunch of decreases down here, and then they just seam it, which is interesting. But it fits perfectly around the jar to keep my hands from getting cold. So I guess let's just hop right into the stuff. We'll go with finished objects, and I'll start with actually what I'm wearing. I don't think I'm wearing, I've got some, I don't know if I'll be able to do this. It's really high up camera. There we go. I've got DK weight socks on. I held fingering double for that. It's just a simple vanilla DK weight sock. I have another one that I'll show you later that I started. But anyway, this is the Quick Sew pattern 2000. And I got this at a thrift store a long time ago for just $1. And I love this category, I guess, of sewing patterns. The quick sew patterns are always extremely simple and straightforward. The instructions are always really clear. It's nice. This is designed by, let's see if I can get in there, Kirsten Martinson. I can't read it in the camera because it's backwards in the camera, but yeah, so this is a men's button-up shirt pattern, and I sewed one for me just because I know that men's sizing can actually fit me a lot better than women's sizing. So I made the men's medium, and I just used a simple quilting cotton. As you can see here is pink roses. Got some pink buttons here, and I really enjoyed this pattern. It was straightforward and simple and easy to read. Got some really pretty purple buttons here for the cuffs with little plastic crystals in them, and I thought that just matched perfectly with the fabric because it does have purple roses and pink roses. And I'm wearing it tucked in, which is probably going to be my preferred way of wearing this, but I'll throw in a video here. So yeah, I sewed the size medium. I didn't do any changes to it, using a 100% quilter cotton, and I loved it. I would absolutely make more of these. It's really comfortable, which is surprising. I don't know why that surprises me because it's in a more of an oversized shirt, but it fits me great and I feel comfortable in it, and I feel actually it's very flattering, I guess, when it's tucked into a pair of jeans. And oh, I love it. And I love the techniques I learned to make this. It has you like tuck in the collar so that there's no exposed seams on the collar or the back or the cuffs. So it was all very clean and very well written out. I don't know if quick sew is a thing anymore, which is unfortunate. If anybody else knows, I looked it up and I could not find anything like a website where you can go to like Vogue sewing patterns or Simply Sew, anything like that. It just didn't seem to exist anymore, which is unfortunate. But I really like this pattern, and I'm sure you could probably find this secondhand on like Amazon or something if you really wanted to make one. Or I'm sure there are plenty of men's button-up shirt patterns out there. But it has this really cool sleeve detail. Just this, I'm going to call it a dart. Well, that's not really proper sewing terms, but this cuff cover so that it's good. And if I wanted to, I could unpin it and roll up my sleeves. So if I'm doing any baking or I'm outdoors, it'll be all good. I'm just going to wear them out today. This is my first finished object, and I just finished this like half an hour ago. I just did the buttonholes and the buttons today. That was the last thing I needed to do. So I'm super happy with it. And okay, I'll show the other one I'm sewing. I was kind of sewing two simultaneously, and then when I realized how close I was to podcast day, I decided to just finish this one off so I could wear it. Other finished object, I finished a pair of socks. Do excuse. There's dog hair all over them because I've been wearing them already. Oops. Okay. I finished my opal socks, which is great. I just did a vanilla sock, 64 stitches, slip stitch heel, flap and gusset, and then a umbrella or balloon toe. It kind of goes by either. And I actually really like this toe. It fits my foot nicely. I followed the pattern instructions for this toe from K. Jones of the Bakery Bears. It's very easily written out. I just followed the instructions from her Crunkle Socks pattern. And this is done. This is Opal in A Loyal and True Friend. And I have this available in the shop right now on sale. I think I'm going to sneeze. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It will be a really nice hardy sock. Once I've been wearing them, it feels like the yarn has softened up quite a bit. When I was knitting it, it felt really plasticky, if that makes sense. Like the nylon in it wasn't the same. I don't know what Opal has changed or done, but it felt really scratchy, and that made me really worried. But once I have it on my feet and they've been worn in a little bit, I don't feel it anymore. It seemed to have worn off and gotten a lot softer, which is nice. Yeah, I've got a bunch of Opal available in the shop. If you want some hearty socks with some fun striping, I've got a bunch of it on sale. I really like this. So yeah, that is my other finished objects, really. And my last one, I finished my hat. So this is the Maria toque. Excuse me, it's a toque. I'm Canadian. I need to call it a toque. It's just naturally I say hat for some reason lately. But this is the Maria toque. It is a DK weight toque that you can either make with DK weight yarn or fingering held double. The original was made with fingering held double, and I redid the pattern to have a better fit because the first one I made felt a little snug, and so I've redone the hat. This is the new sample that I will be rewriting the pattern with. Oh yeah. I knit this with my own hand-dyed yarn. This is Deep Sea Tangle. This is how much I have left. On my Whirlpool DK base, which I love so much. If you don't know, this is 2-ply non-superwash merino with 1-ply superwash merino. And it becomes really light and soft and warm. It doesn't feel like wool. It just feels like a superwash yarn, and it holds up really well. It's a mix of that softness and that durability that wool has. So I love it. So you knit your brim. It's a folded brim where you have just a, is it knit row or purl row? Anyway, you'd find out in the pattern. I finished this like the day after the last podcast, so it's kind of left my brain. Seated ribbing. It's seated ribbing. And then you knit it inside out so that there's no purling in the body. Have no fear. It's a rapid decrease, and once you're done, you just turn it inside out so you can get that beautiful marled effect of the back with that exposed purl side. And the brim just folds up. And it's really cozy and really stretchy, like super stretchy. It's not going to be tight on the head at all. It's a little slouchy. It's cozy. I wore this a couple times when I went on walks with the dog, and it feels so nice. So yeah, Maria toque, right now it only comes in one size, and I find it to be more of a kid size, unless you're an adult with a head on the smaller side. And so I'll be rewriting the pattern to have more sizing and be a little bit more head size inclusive and comfortable. It's my other finished object, and I'll get to work on that very soon. I did not get to releasing the hair rod pattern just yet, just because I got distracted on sewing. I'm sorry. I just can help myself. It just needs like a couple more details and it'll be ready to go. And I have a shirt instead of oh well. So hopefully 2 patterns being released. Technically the Maria Toque is being re-released. Yeah, so those are all my finished objects. So let's move into some whips. And I want to touch on this one. And this has been a work in progress for a very long time. But this is my stack so far of granny squares that I've been working on. I try and finish at least one a day. I finished this one just yesterday. This is the yarn I used for my plexus socks. Got lots of, should count them. Hold on a minute. Alright, so I have 54 squares right now. I might have more hiding away in some bags, but 54 right here. And that's a lot of squares. And I'm not sure what I want to do with them. I kind of just started out with, I want to use these scraps in something. Let's make granny squares for fun. And they are a ton of fun. I love seeing how colors work up in this way. I'm just starting to gain so many granny squares that I need to know what to do with them. I've been through so many ideas. Originally I wanted to make some granny square pants, but then I wasn't quite sure if I would get a whole lot of use out of them. Same as I thought, oh, maybe I'll make a granny square dress. That might be fun. I still don't think that making clothing out of these is the most practical way to use them. I don't want them to go into a garment of some kind and then never get worn. It's just going to sit in my closet because I've put so much work into these that it feels like it would be a waste of time. I know I'm not really into a granny square blanket with just these because they're so light. I don't think it would make a very cozy blanket per se. Maybe like a double thick one. I don't know. But what would you do? What are your ideas? I'm kind of stuck. I'm still making them daily and I'm still having a lot of fun with them. I just don't quite know what I'm going to do with all of these. But I want it to be something unique and special. Not just a blanket or a garment of some kind. Oh, I missed 2. 56. I knew there was some hiding somewhere. 56 squares. Oh dear. Just add this on. Brittany of Crux Fibers, if you're watching, hi. I totally jumped over. Brittany gave me some magic cakes that are amazing, and I've been putting some into my blanket, but then I was like, ooh, I could have little granny squares and put them into my neat ripple blanket. So that's what I've been doing. I've got a tiny one started here, like itty bitty. But I'm doing that, and then I use the color in the blanket, and I move on to the next one, and I make a granny square. Just got it in this Japanese knot bag I sewed a very long time ago. Just pop it in there. There you go. Yeah, so that's my little side project that I'm not quite sure what to do with them. Let me know down below if you have any ideas. Okay. Next work in progress. I have another pair of vanilla DK weight socks on the go. Oh, oops. It's another granny square hiding in here. I seem to throw them into whatever main project bag I have going on. Oh, this camera. Yeah. And I am doing all of these squares now on 2mm crochet hook. Just itty bitty. My crochet gauge has loosened over the years since I've started making these granny squares, so I've had to shrink my hook a couple times now. I think I started with a 3mm millimeter, went down to, no, I started with a 275 millimeter, then went to a 2.5, and now I'm in the 2 millimeter. And I'm kind of screwed if my gauge loosens anymore, because I think there is smaller, but I think those are more of lace weight, like really fine thread crocheting. So hopefully not. Yeah, since I finished my vanilla opal socks, I needed a new sock on the go. So this is the Coral Reef Dragon from Dragon Hoard Yarn. And it is on her Myth fingering base, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. There. It came with 2 minis, and I wish I would have done this differently. Now that later on, while I've gone through the sock, I wish I would have held the mini itself double on its own instead of holding both minis together. So there's the colors. They're really pretty. It's like a coral orange and a bright neon. So I wish I would have done like a neon cuff and then a coral heel flap, or vice versa, because it's a very busy yarn. There's the mane. Beautiful mix of blue and pink. And I'm just holding all the yarns double. The mane, I'm just holding it double on itself. But you know what? At this point, that is okay. It's still a really fun sock, and I will wear them a lot. I really love my DK weight socks. Did I say on my other socks? I knit them with 2.25 millimeter needles on my opal socks. For my DK weight socks, I use 3.25 millimeter needles, US 3s, which gives me a pretty good gauge. And I am just following the vanilla DK weight sock pattern by Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady, I believe. And then I've got a little boot progress keeper on there. That was part of the 12 Days of Christmas at Sea that we did last year. It's got a little candy cane, a little holly leaf in the root. So cute. So yeah, just flying through this. Actually, I got this far just over a weekend, off and on. I really like it. I like how simple they are and how fast they are. It's very satisfying. I just got that in a 2/6 in U bag. Right there. And then my other work in progress, this is a new cast on that I am very excited about. So this is the Summer Secret Crop by Jessie Made Designs. And I have been interested to try out knitting a tank top of some kind for this summer, just to see how it is, because I've always been concerned that it would be very, very warm, but maybe it might be okay. This one is knit at a extremely loose gauge. I went up a couple needle sizes to reach. I'm using a 5 millimeter needle. For the main body, I believe I used a 4.5 millimeter needle for the ribbing, which is 5 millimeters US 8. I don't know what 4.5 is. But here it is so far. It's actually been going a little faster than I thought it would. I've got a little hobbit door progress keeper from Dragon Hoard Yarns. Oh no, this is from the Black Cabinet. And then I have a little hoggle here to keep track of the body length. It's just a vintage unicorn. I have one of these in the shop right now. And what's fun about this is that she has the option where you can knit it with just one strand of fingering, or you can hold 2 strands of fingering together for a DK weight or use DK weight yarn. I chose to hold fingering double, and these are both hand dyed by me. This was an experiment on some zebra yarn. I'm not selling this in the shop, but Ginger Snap That Yarns has a ton of amazing zebra yarns in their shop right now. That'd be great. So I just dyed this. It's a gray with some green and pink. More like red, but it was supposed to be pink speckles on there. And then I'm holding it with a very old colorway that does not exist anymore, but I have a new version of it coming up in the next yarn update. This is Watercolor Promises. This is one of my early colorways when I first started dyeing yarn, and I'm holding them together to kind of create this really neat stormy rainbow, I don't know what you would call this look. I really love it, and I love the feeling of it. It's super soft. It still might be warm. It's still quite heavy, and that's because it's a DK weight. But I'm not a huge fan of having knit garments with an extremely loose gauge, because I find that I feel quite exposed wearing them, if that makes sense. I'm not a fan of my knits being overly see-through. So I thought this was more up my alley, and I'll probably wear this around the house. Like, I'll still get use out of it, and it's going to be really cool addition to the wardrobe. So I'll probably knit this a little longer than what she recommends, because I'm not an overly tall person, but I'm tall, and I am mostly torso when it comes to my tallness. So when I wear crop things, it comes up way more cropped than it was meant to. So I'm probably going to add maybe a couple more inches. I'm not even close to how long it is. It's supposed to be. This is a free pattern on Ravelry, which is awesome. And yeah, so that's my tank top experiment that I am really enjoying. And it's great TV knitting because it's just straightforward knitting. There's two ways you can do it. One has a little more body shaping and the other is more straightforward. I'm just doing the boxy version. It's supposed to be quite fitting, but I didn't want it overly to be fitting. I'm not a fan of tightly fitted clothes. I am a pear-shaped human being, so when I wear tight-fitting clothes, I find that I look like I squeezed into them a little bit more than I didn't. So I like looser fitting things to kind of balance that out. And also, it's just more comfortable that way. I love loose fitting clothes because they're so cozy, obviously, from this shirt. Yeah. I've got like some Werther's candies in the bottom. Do you ever carry random things in your project bags? I feel like I'm slowly harnessing my inner grandma, because I have my knitting and I have my floral top and my Werther's candies. Anyway, this isn't a Ginger Snap bag. This is the Ludo bag. It's so cute. I love it so much. And it's the perfect size for a two skein project. Okay, so my final work in progress is the actual sewing. And so far, I stopped here because I thought this would be a good place to show off kind of the techniques used. So this is my other one. This is more of a it's a lighter fabric. It's 100% cotton as well. It's got little blue and pink tulips on it. It's a busier pattern, but it's so nice. And it has you do this cool thing where you put two layers in this part here together. So you have no exposed edging on either side, so it won't bother you at all. And then here's the collar. I have just attached it to the shirt, and then I'm going to iron this over and just sew it in so that you have a very clean line on the inside, and that doesn't bug your neck whatsoever. And use the same technique like that in the cuffs and on the button bands. So there's nothing exposed that you have to worry about. Yeah, here's my other one. I just have to finish the sleeves and attach them, and then attach buttons and do buttonholes and buttons. Yeah, so there's still quite a few little details to put in on that, but it will be done in no time. I'll probably wear it next podcast, hopefully. All right, so that is all the stuff I have been working on lately. I'm going to jump into a yarn update for Kraken. If this is as far as you want to go, thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you again. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. I'm just a little podcast here on the corner of the YouTubes, and I appreciate every subscription and comment. You are appreciated here. Okay, so now, those who stayed for the yarn update, let's go with the doubloon sock first. My doubloon sock base is a 80% superwash merino yarn and 20% nylon. And I've got some beautiful spring colors. And I noticed as I was, let's see, how would I do this? Like this. As I was holding them before, you could technically fade this really nicely. That might just be me, but I look at this and I think, oh, that would make the coolest, like, find your fade in springy colors. And I'm kind of making up names on these on the spot, or if you have better names, do let me know. I know that this one, I wanted to call it Mayday. So for those who don't know, this was something I learned quite a while ago. Mayday is the 1st of May, which is today. And on May Day, people would make baskets or bouquets or just little bundles of flowers that have sprung into the early spring. So usually more like April 30th? I hope so. Anyway, the night before, they make all these bouquets and bundles and baskets, and then on May 1st, they go out and they give them to their friends and neighbors as a happy spring or happy May Day. So I'm calling this May Day because it is a mix of some very happy springy colors. We've got purple and blue and bright green and pink, all on a gorgeous peachy background. Oh, so pretty. I love this one a lot. I enjoyed making it. Whoop. See if I can do this nicely. So this is May Day. I know that name for sure, but the other ones I haven't quite put proper names on them yet. Any suggestions, do let me know. I hope to put these out this coming Friday. What would that be? I'll have to look at a calendar later. It'll come up on the screen. We've got this one that I really love, and I have a matching mohair to go with it. So this one is a beautiful pale, like vintagey pink. Kind of matches the roses on my shirt with some spots of brown, which also I think it broke. Sometimes your colors, when you speckle them, they'll break. So this one broke into some blue and orange and pink. Kind of add that extra little dimension. I really like how that worked out. I think pink with brown speckling is one of my favorite types of colorways. A lot of people have done it in different ways. This is my version, but I really love how it looks. Okay. They're not the greatest spin, but that's alright. A loose tie. So I don't quite know what I want to call it. I don't know. What do you think? My next one is such a pretty shade of blue. Oh, I love it. It's got little tones of a darker blue. Sometimes it looks a little purpley. Oh, I love how this one turned out. I was just messing around with some color, and this is just, oh, I love it. It reminds me a lot of like that fresh spring lake color, like the water has just finished melting from being frozen for months. This is kind of the color it is. Let's see if I can. Pretty good double chin action, eh? Anyway, that one, I love it so much. That one also has a matching mohair that I will show in a minute. Last but certainly not least, these are the colors of Watercolor Promises, but it has more of a speckle than an all over dye like I did the first one. And I really like it because it kind of reminds me those paint splatters on paper. So here we go. Got blues, greens, yellows, purples, a bit of black in there. Like just some beautiful bright pops that I know will show up really great on something that has like a lot of stockinette. Oh, look at that. Like you can undo the skein and you just find pops of color. It's like a treasure hunt. It's so cool. I love this spot. It looks so good. So yeah, that is Watercolor Promises in just a new way. And I really love how it turned out. I think it's a great summer. It's an all year round colorway, really. I quite often, with just my doubloon sock, I mess around with color. My Whirlpool DK base is more of my consistent base, and these fingering weight superwash skeins are my opportunity to try new and exciting colors. And I write everything down, so they are repeatable, but they're all experiments, really, to try new things. And if there's a colorway that you would love to see back, I can totally dye it. Quite often when I get new doubloon sock, I try something new and I experiment. And then I'm hoping to have at least one, possibly two more colorways coming up soon. These are some really nice springy mohairs. So this is a mohair kid silk base, new to the shop, and I've named these all different ladies because I thought that would be fun. So this is Fair Lady, Noble Lady in the blue, and then Charming Lady. So these are the two where this one and this one are pretty. I need to see like a no frills in this or something. Oh, wouldn't that be so pretty? I might have to do that myself. And it would go with my shirt. It's just destiny. I love that one. And these blues is the same blue. It just turned out very different on the mohair base, which I love. Oh, so pretty. Such a deep, I think it's more of like an ocean blue, like an ocean on a stormy day, which I really enjoy. And this one, I loved. I was messing around with color, and this is the recipe that I used to dye my Mermaid Kisses base. that came out on mohair, and it just turned out to be a really beautiful lilac. I just am in love. It goes with my shirt as well. I'm really into pinks lately. Yeah, those are some new mohairs. I hope to make like a nice green, maybe kind of like the green of the leaves on my shirt, that vintage green. Yeah, those are all coming to the shop hopefully this Friday. Hopefully. We'll see how well I do. It probably will. I will say yes, it will be this Friday, so I will get that work done and get them out there for you to enjoy. And if you have any name suggestions for those doubloon sets colorways, they're not really sock sets, but it's doubloon sock colorways, do let me know. So yeah, a little bit of life stuff to end things off. I have been dyeing yarn a lot these past few days. I've been sewing in my evenings, very little amount of knitting, just because I've been into sewing just a little bit more, and I have no real inspiration when it comes to my knitting projects. I don't have anything that I am truly excited about, if that makes sense. Like my knitting mojo, it's not gone, but it's not really there, if that makes any sense. So I've been sewing and doing other things like kombuchas, and I also planted some seeds, which is crazy. I'm not a green thumb. I would like to be. I'd like to attempt to be. So this year I'm trying. I've got some herbs. I think I've got chives, basil, some dill, and then I planted some hot peppers. These are Korean hot peppers, so kind of the peppers that goes into gochujang. I have the red and the green. I have green sweet peppers. So I'm really excited about those. What else did we plant? Perilla, which is the leaf that is often eaten in Korean meals. Korean food has been somewhat of my obsession lately because it's so good. Yeah, but me and my brother planted some things. Sorry for the ice, I'll try and not move too much. And we planted sweet pumpkins, peas. One other thing. Nasturtiums. It's like Worcestershire. Nasturtiums. It's those flowers that are edible for my mom. And yeah, so there'll be a little video here. Oh, garlic. We planted a ton of garlic. I hope they work out. They weren't looking too happy the last time I checked on them, so we'll see what happens. My screen just went blue. I don't know why it did that. Yeah, so we did some planting. We have a greenhouse of types. It's not an actual greenhouse, but it works just like one. That we will be planting those into bigger boxes once they're ready. So yeah, it's been very sunny out, which is good for the plants. We've been getting outside, and I've been getting a bit tanned. Trying not to like get a knitter's tan yet, where you don't tan down here because you're constantly looking at your work, and then you have like a patch in between your elbows from being folded like this. I'm trying to be careful not to do that. Yeah, today is more of a rainy day, which is good because everything could use a little water before forest fire season comes. But yeah, so that is life. I hope you all are doing well wherever you're watching this, whether it's day, night, morning, evening, whatever time it is, there is full of yarny goodness and joy. Thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed the podcast and you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. Again, I am a small podcast here on the corner of the YouTubes, and every subscription and comment, and even if you want to share, I know that's a lot to ask, is appreciated. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.